Dan Williams, Survive Outdoors, where we do wilderness medicine videos, injuries in the outdoors, teach you how to not to get hurt in the outdoors and how to prevent injury. Okay, so before I jump in there, get you some apparel, Survive Outdoors, wilderness medicine, show people you know how to survive in the outdoors. All right, shameless plug. All right, here we go. So we're going to talk about today, it's also called, it's called sporotrichosis. It's a fungus. It's also called rose gardener's disease. And yeah, anyone can get this. It's not that common, but it is in certain areas, warm, moist soil. You'll see it in the South, you'll see it in the Midwest. And what it is a fungus in the soil. And what sparked me for this video is I have a very interesting case for you with some really good photos. So before we jump into the case, let me tell you a little bit about this fungus that's among us. So you have in the soil bushes, shrubs, a rotting dead tree. There can be this fungus, and if you're digging, you're hunting mushrooms, you inadvertently cut yourself. People working in the rose garden, forestry workers, those individuals are going to be a higher risk of getting this. The most common is just getting this on the skin, and after a cut. You can get this in your lungs, and you can get something where it's called disseminated, and that's the bad one. It gets in your bones, it gets everywhere. So I have a very nice 64-year-old lady come in. I've treated her before, and she was using a battery-powered chainsaw, and she was cutting some brush, and she inadvertently, when she turned it off, it clipped her index finger about right here, as you're going to see in a minute. So we irrigated the heck out of it. Her tetanus was updated, and after we irrigated and cleaned it, we sutured her up. So I sent her on her way on an antibiotic, which is called cephalexin. It's Keflex. It's a first-generation cephalosporin. That doesn't mean a lot to you, but let me just say it's a very basic antibiotic. Does really good for staph and strep. I've had excellent success with it because I know it was a dirty wound. She comes back around 5 days later, 7 days, something like that, and it's looking infected. In fact, to the point where I have to take some of the sutures out a little early. I'm not liking it. So I changed the antibiotic to a quinolone, which is more broad spectrum and basically kills every bacteria known to mankind. So, exaggeration. And she comes back a week later and it's not better. In fact, now there are little red purplish bumps when these bumps are fluid filled. And I don't like it. And it's reminding me of the time, I'm like, what is this? You know, this is really odd. So I take a scalpel and I open one of them up, the little blisters, and I culture it. And we send it off for a culture. And then it hit me. I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks like sporotrichosis. So I go back in, I talked to her, I said, what were you cutting? Where were you at? Tell me about the incident. Well, it happened to be an old stump area where she's trimming, you know, vines and briars and all kinds of stuff. And that's where her dog frequently goes to urinate and use the bathroom. But you have an old, dead, moist stump. And this looks fungal. And I want to show you right now, here is her finger when I changed all of her antibiotics, stopped everything, and put her on itraconazole, an anti-fungal. Now, when you treat sporotrichosis, you know, sometimes this has to be treated for 3 months. And itraconazole, the antifungal, is fairly expensive. So this is kind of a real drag for her. And I'm waiting for the culture results, and I have her on the itraconazole. And she comes back, and this is what it looks like after about 6 days of being on the antifungal. And then this is about 10 days after the antifungal. Amazing. I mean, it looks fantastic. A kink. So I get the results back from the culture, and it comes back as Enterobacter cloacae. What is that Latin long name? Well, that is a bacteria that is not killed with an antifungal. So how did that happen? So I get on the phone and consult with a colleague, and he says, look, you know, most likely this is sporotrichosis because it got better on the antifungal, and when you cultured it, you probably got bacteria that was already on her skin. So I'm like, okay, that can make sense because she is improving. So after about 2 weeks of the itraconazole, we stopped it, and she came in actually a couple days ago, and it looked like it was coming back. So we're going to put her back on the itraconazole. We probably stopped it too early, and she's going to be on it for a good month or two, and we'll follow up. So the case is actually ongoing. So why is this important to you guys? People that bale hay, you know how hay gets really moist and it smells funky? Hay, rotting dead stumps, where you may be camping in the woods somewhere and you got these decaying logs. You're hunting mushrooms, you're cutting the stem, you inadvertently cut your finger. You're doing gardening. So this is something you need to keep in the back of your mind. And remember, I'm not trying to freak people out here. I mean, you know, I do these videos, someone said, oh my gosh, I'm never going in the outdoors. That is not what these are about. It's the exact opposite. It's to make you more aware. Knowledge is power. So teaching you what to be aware of, what are your signs and symptoms, is going to alert you and get you quicker in for treatment than delaying it. So yeah, there are funguses among us. They're out there for sure. So that's sporotrichosis. It also, I want to mention in South America and Brazil, it also can be given to you by feral cat bites. And there's been an increase of that according to the CDC. So unless someone's planning to go to South America or Brazil, be aware of that. Not in the United States, that's documented yet. All right, guys, keep your eyes on the rise and your face to the wind. Thanks for all the subscribers, really appreciate it. Share the video if you want to do that, that would be awesome. Let's educate as many people as we can. Take care.